Welcome to the Tech and Ed Podcast, the only podcast to cover the geek side of ed tech. Welcome to the show, and thanks for joining, everyone. My name is Tamer, and with me we have Mo, and this is episode 1. And on this episode, we're going to talk about some conferences, PDing, networking, the importance of it, and a really special conference to me and Mo, TechSpo. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about our weekly updates. Mo, give me a rundown of what you did this week.
This week was all about budgeting and the troubles that come with that. Being in technology, it's forever changing, and it's very difficult to kind of budget for your entire year or next school year starting July from now, especially with the ever-changing world of technology. So that is kind of a bear of a task to go through, make sure you have everything you need, make sure there's enough money for whatever you're currently using, and see what else is going to come down the pipe. So that was the majority of my week. I was going through the budget, making sure there's enough money for next year. How about you?
Well, so this week, I actually spent a good portion of this week. So we're going 1-to-1 in my district next year, as you know. And I spent a good portion of my week really designing how our students are going to report their technology problems to us, right? So we have a help desk system, and our teachers know how to get in touch with us when there's technology issues and stuff like that. But now with this 1-to-1 initiative, we become a 24/7 operation. These kids are taking these Chromebooks home, they're bringing them in. So our model of support is changing dramatically. And I spent a lot of this week really planning out what that's going to look like next year, redesigning some things in our help desk, redesigning some policies we have, and things like that. That's really what took up a lot of my week.
That is a big project to undertake. It is not easy, and we're still figuring it out as well. So in this week's podcast, obviously we'll be going over some professional development, TechSpo, as we said. But what I want to bring to this episode is something that a utility that I use all the time, and I recommend everyone signing up for it, and that is NJKick. And NJKick is the New Jersey Cybersecurity and Communications Integration Cell. I know it's long, so we just say NJKick. And this is basically an email thread that you can subscribe to, and they'll send you updates anytime there's a malware threat that might affect a school or companies that work with a school. So if you go to cyber.nj.gov, at the bottom of their website, there is a subscribe button, and there's all the information on there that you can go on there and read about. But they basically partner with Homeland Security. Anytime there's a threat, you get at least an understanding. You can start looking out for it. This is something my team uses all the time. It gives us a heads up. Hey, there's been a lot of issues over in Iran. So we took we went to our firewall and we blocked all traffic from Iran. Will that stop all the viruses? No, it won't, but it is deterring, right? It's just making it a little bit harder for those threat actors to come in. And so just a little piece of advice from the Homeland Security Department or NJKick, we're able to add another layer of security for what's happening around us. We'll go into some more details and show you an example in another episode, but I highly recommend you sign up to this. They also send out weekly and monthly bulletins. So last month, I think there was also in their weekly bulletin or monthly bulletin, they had a Wawa hack. And so it's not related to the school, but they're just keeping you informed. Hey, this is what's happening out there. I highly recommend you subscribe, read the emails, go through them. They'll send you an email. It doesn't mean you have to act on it, but if you're running your nightly scans or your virus scans, and you see, oh, this is that virus that came up, you're ahead of the game, right? This is something that's active. So it's just a piece of information to keep you active, and we'll go into some more detail in some of the other episodes, but I really wanted to share this piece of information. Go subscribe, go start reading those emails, start understanding what they're sending you and how you can act upon them.
Do they have a subscribe link on their website?
They do. They have a All the way at the bottom, there is a subscribe
Oh,
button.
okay, there it is. Okay. I was gonna say I remember subscribing, but I don't remember how I subscribed.
Yeah, and you just put your email. There's no cost or anything. They just start sending you information. They just want to start informing everyone. They want to make sure that the public facilities, education facilities, libraries, colleges, schools, they're also getting a heads up before anything happens.
Cool, cool. No, I mean, let me tell you, I subscribed a while ago, so I don't remember how, but we get those alerts all the time. And actually, I'm always reading through them, and I send them out to my staff sometimes. And they have the different levels, right? That what's what
Traffic
you
light
can,
protocol.
yeah, that traffic light protocol that says to you, and when you go to their website, you can read about it, but it says to you what you can disseminate to people, what you shouldn't disseminate, and it's I don't know. I'm really curious actually because this is a New Jersey organization. I'm really curious if there's organizations like this in other states and even
Or for each state.
yeah, I wonder. I'm not sure. So if you're out there, you're listening to this, and you're from a different state, and you have something like this, definitely let us know because I'd like to know about it, and we could put it out there to all of our listeners.
I would also like to subscribe. If there is a New York one, I'd like to subscribe to the New York one just because we are so close to New York City
Oh yeah,
that, just how networking works. It's so close in proximity that I would love to join New York, possibly Pennsylvania, see what else is out
yeah.
there.
Get to all those tri-state areas for us. I mean, because we're so. Like you said, we're so close to all of that. They call it the tri-state areas for a reason,
Yeah.
right? We're all
Yeah.
constantly communicating and connecting with all those areas. But yeah, no, very, very good organization. Very good articles that they send out. For me, I actually read something on Friday by Matthew Humphreys on PC Magazine, and it's actually related to security. And it's about Chrome and how Chrome is going to be blocking. I don't even pull up my laptop here. Chrome's going to be blocking insecure downloads. So starting with I think version 82, they actually have a nice graphic here. Let me zoom in on this for you guys that are watching. But they had a nice graphic on their website that shows kind of their roadmap of what they're going to be doing. So basically, what Chrome has announced is that beginning with version 82, they're going to start warning people when they try to download files that are coming from non-secure sources, so non-HTTPS sources. So that's, I feel like this is sort of like a no-brainer, right? Like I feel like if you that's like safety 101. Are you downloading from a secure source? But at the same time, it's kind of hard to tell, right? Because you could be on a website that's secure, but is linking to a download link that's not secure, right? So
Right, the repository can
those
be coming from somewhere else.
exactly. So I think it's a cool feature for those end users that don't know how to really dig in and really make sure. And so they're saying with version 82, they're going to start giving you warnings saying, hey, this is coming from a non.
And look what they're attacking. First, EXEs,
Oh, yeah.
APKs. It's some of the biggest things, and then the next thing is a zip file. So yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think they should have, no shade on Google, but I feel like this is something that should have been out there a while ago, but I'm glad to see that it's actually coming out now. And so like I said, they're starting with version 82. They're starting with executables giving you a warning, but by version 86, you can expect to be fully blocked. So that's important to know if you do host any kind of files. If you're a hosting provider and you
That's
don't
right.
have a cert on your repositories where people are getting files from you, you got to make sure that you do that because by version 85, 86, you're basically going to not be able to have anyone download your files if you don't have that cert. But again, I feel like in this day and age, how do you not have a cert, right?
Yeah, and first, they're not very expensive. I think I purchased a overpriced cert this year around $500, and I'll renew it if I need to. On top of that, there's also a website, Let's Encrypt, that is made by Firefox and some of the other companies out there to give out free certificates. Now, the issue with Let's Encrypt is you have to reset that cert every 3 months. There are some tools and utilities out there that allow you to auto renew. Some of them don't work, but again, it's a free cert. Put a calendar notification every 3 months to renew. You run the command to renew that cert, and you have a free cert, and it's running.
Yeah.
A lot of the threat actors out there, you might be able to get certs, but what this is doing is just adding another layer of difficulty for them. Let's make it a little bit more difficult for those threat actors. Now, if they really want to start sending this, they really have to have all of their ducks in a row. They need to make sure that they have certificates. They need to make sure that they're using secure connections, and then now they are having to send that information.
Yeah.
So now that's a download.
What's that?
They will block any items from downloading. Now, is
Yeah.
that in the browser?
Yeah, so when you're on the browser, you're on a website, you click on one of those download links, or again, it's all browser. It's all from the
So
Chrome
even
browser.
email.
So even email, if you're accessing your webmail, your Gmail client, or your Yahoo client, or whatever webmail service you're using, right? Those are all links that you're clicking on your download. That browser is going to pick up on where that source is, and if it's a non-secure source, it's going to say, hey, you're downloading from a non-secure source in those early versions, but by those later versions, you can expect that they're going to be fully blocked. So, really great article. Again, Matthew Humphreys from PC Magazine. If you get a chance, go to the PC Mag website and look up that article. I actually subscribe to their email lists. So
Okay.
they send me their like weekly updates and stuff like that. It's really nice. But good article and something to be prepared for those, like I said, for those people who may be downloading from websites that don't have secure sources and secure encryption, and for those websites that are still struggling to get there.
So now we're just going to skip ahead into what this episode is about, and it goes to professional development, networking, conferences, what to expect from them. So for me, one of the first things about Texpo that I generally enjoy is going through all the different vendors. You know, I saw a number of different vendors from software, hardware, different computing, recycling companies, anything a technology department would need, it's basically there. You know, you have your big players, Dell, Meraki, Cisco, HP, they're all there. You really get to take a look at some of their products. It's also a chance to meet face-to-face with some of these individuals, so that way when you have a conversation with them, it becomes more humanistic. And they understand what you're going through and see how they can help you.
Yeah.
I truly enjoy going through and actually being able to touch and feel some of these products, because you'll go on the website and it'll say, wow, this is, you know, the best laptop in the world, and you grab it and it's all cheap, you know, plastic. So touch and feel, you know, being able to grab the device or grab the electronics, just see how they work, see, you know, does it take like, you know, so much force to open up a laptop, or, you know, is this switch, you know, so much bigger than all of your network closets, or anything along those lines.
Yeah, no, you're and you know, to that point, you also get to see like products that may not even be out yet, right? So I'm looking in my district on getting my teachers laptops, right? So I'm looking at Dell, I'm looking at HP, I'm looking at all the different vendors. But one of the vendors I'm looking at, I heard that they're coming out with a new model, and we're eagerly waiting to see what that new model is like, because obviously if we're going to buy something, we want to buy the latest and greatest, right? But we keeping our budget in mind, of course. But one of those vendors had some of their new products that aren't even out yet at this conference, which was really great, because me and my director got to literally, sit there, talk to them about it, look at it, kind of give it a quick little demo. So, you get those kind of opportunities, which is great. And then, like you said, you that face-to-face interaction, right? We spend so much time behind our desks, calling people, talking to people. It's nice to put a face to the name and, have that interaction.
As well, you might find something that you didn't know was out there.
Yeah.
You might find something. There are companies out there that, might come out with a fantastic new software, might come out with a fantastic new, cart or charging kit or whatever it is. You might find it. Like, I think it was StarTech. They brought all of these cool adapters, and I said, wow, I didn't realize your product line expanded this extensively. Mm-hmm. They had cable management, like some really nice cable management stuff, and I didn't even know that they sold that. And now, when we start setting up new desks, I might start buying those cable management strips that they have, and it'll keep all of the cables nice and neat. So Very cool, very interesting to go, go meet those vendors, go understand what they have. I highly recommend doing a tour of the expo floor, maybe twice, because it does get a little big at Texpo, and then at other conferences the expo floor is probably even bigger. And I highly encourage you to take a look at what other companies non-tech related might have, because if they're at a conference that is there for a school, you might have to get involved in it.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And so it all plays into that networking, right? It all plays into that networking. Networking not just amongst peers that are doing the same thing you're doing, but those vendors and those service providers that are out there. And what's even better, I always find, is value in those seminars and those sessions that they have as well, right? So it's great to talk to the vendors and it's great to see the products and stuff like that. But then you get into the nitty gritty, you get into those seminars where you have those people that have that professional experience or may have gone through something or want to do some knowledge transfer, and you gain a lot out of that. Did you attend any of those seminars?
I did. I did. One of the first seminars that I attended and I truly enjoyed was esports. I'm a huge esports fan.
Esports.
I love it. I grew up with video games. Uh, I think it can be used in the educational facility as long as it's done right. Because I understand it's controversial. We're going to play video games at a school. I get it. It's controversial. It's like everything we've been fighting. But this is the way the world has been kind of moving. Esports is slowly taking over the viewership of almost every sport in the U.S. I don't know about in the world, but in the U.S., I think the only thing that has more viewership is football. So that beats hockey, golf, uh, any of those other big sports that are watched out there. Basketball, it's all esports has more viewership than basketball, and on top of that, there's also a lot of money out there. So there's a lot of people getting involved. They see, there's money here, so they're getting involved. Dell, a lot of schools has started setting up esports stadiums where their students can go. So I went to a seminar where they explained their esports process, and they made it more than just the esports team. They were able to kind of grab a group of 20 students almost and take those 20 students and have them to a team. So it wasn't just for the students who play the game, but it was for, let's say, business students or math students, where they'll take a lot of the analytical data from the games that are played and disseminate that to the players. So just a quick example for what's that soccer game?
FIFA?
No, that with the cars, Rocket League. So Rocket
yeah.
League. Oh, whoever scores, the first goal generally within a first minute ends up 40% more chance of winning the game. So that's just like bits and pieces of useful information that like a business, not a business team, but like a math team or an analytical team a data team that can, collect that data, analyze it, and then share it with the team. So you're not just getting the students involved, the players involved, you're getting other students involved. On top of that, you also need branding for a team. You need, montage videos and highlight videos. You need maybe like a team logo, have some shirts, somebody to manage their social media. This is another group of students who, may just want to be behind the camera. They don't want to play.
Yeah.
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 They're not math students, but they want to be behind the camera and do some more of the technical aspects.
Yes. So I attended an esports. I didn't attend the one at Texpo, but I did attend one at ISTE last year,
Okay.
which is that international conference.
International Society of Technology and Education.
Yeah, great conference too, by the way. But I attended one there. They did it like an off-site kind of a thing where we actually went to an esports arena.
Wow.
It was really cool, and
Wow.
I think the guy that was there, I don't remember his name, so I'm really sorry that I don't remember his name off the top of my head. But he was like he worked for the Department of Education actually at the federal level.
Oh.
And he was under the Barack Obama administration at that time, and he was talking about how one of the reasons why he was involved in the Department of Education was to bring esports into the education world at that level. And it was really cool to hear how they did it, and they started teams, and different schools competing with each other, and it was really cool to see an esports arena and how that was set up. And what I like the most about it is that you're right, you get so many different kids involved, right? If you're not an athlete, you're not into the school play, or you're not into the band, what can you get involved in, right? Esports gives another avenue for those kids that may not have a place to fit elsewhere, to kind of get involved in some activities. And we all know extracurricular activities yield overall student success, right? So it's just another great avenue for kids to get involved in that may not have another place to get involved in, and also for those kids that are involved to also get involved. And everyone kind of comes together. So I love esports. I think any geek out there is gonna love video games, right? They're gonna have that special place for video games. But I think it's awesome that they're starting to become more. More schools are starting to jump on that bandwagon, if you will, and it's crazy. Actually, there's even now college level teams of esports.
There is.
There's a few colleges that are actually now starting to recruit esports players for their esports teams, just like they would recruit football players or basketball players or baseball players for their teams. They're starting to recruit esports players for their teams. So it's definitely growing. It's definitely interesting. And I didn't know that, actually. You were saying that it's the second most watched sport?
Yeah, second most watched sport in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly what the numbers were. I should have taken a picture of it. But the big thing to take away from esports is look at it the same way as a sport. Don't look at it as a video game, right? Same way. You have a football team, you have players, you have the coaching staff, you have the support staff, you have trainers, you have coaches, you have all aspects of the team. On top of that, what do they learn from being in that sport? Teamwork, how to win, how to lose. This is the same thing that they had in their presentation. It's not just we now have an esports team and we go to competitions. No, students need to learn how to lose, right? Mm-hmm. How to win, and what type of attitudes to have for both. And that just because you lose doesn't mean that you completely lost. That means, what can I learn from this?
Yeah, that resiliency.
Resilient, and not only that, it comes to digital citizenship, because a lot of these games, people can talk to each other. And so how are you treating your teammates and your opponent? Because if you're in a game, you're not just going up to somebody and talking trash to them. So it's the same thing when you're behind that keyboard. Be mindful of what you're saying. And, it's more than just playing video games.
Yeah.
That's really what I liked about that seminar. It was so enlightening for me to see that something that I have enjoyed for many years and will continue to enjoy when I have some free time, that it's actually taking momentum. And I hope to see in a few years down the road that every school has it, and there are many leagues and many college leagues that can lead into a professional esports environment.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And one of the things that you touched on, which was it's more than sport. It's more than just playing video games, right? So we're looking at esports in my district now, and I have to give a lot of credit to my director of technology, who's been kind of looking at it heavily, and he's been working with a couple kids and kind of just trying to get the foundations going. And we have these conversations back and forth, but you gotta do things like you would with any other team. You gotta have those rules and those policies. You want to be on this team. These are, you have to conduct yourself like how athletes have to conduct themselves appropriately and with manners and respect on the field. Same thing in the video games, and all those rules still apply, and it's not just a free for all. And it does reinforce and teach a lot of those values to those kids when they get involved in that. So definitely.
And make sure they have good grades.
Yes.
Same thing with the sport. I'm not sure about you, but we make sure our students, they're scholar athletes. They're not just athletes and then they can fail all of their classes. Same thing. It has
No,
to it
absolutely.
has to be it
Absolutely.
has to be involved.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. So one thing that I'm really passionate about, and I'm glad I got to attend this seminar, is technicians in the school space, and becoming more than just technicians, right? Getting really involved in the whole technology integration, implementation, and building that department in your school district, right? So the seminar I attended was titled "Technicians to Technologists." Really great presentation. It was by Evan Abramson from Milburn Township Public Schools, Lenny Libetz from Southbound Brook Public Schools, and Jim O'Boyle, who is the director, technology manager from Hamilton Township
So
Schools.
3 different schools.
So they got together. Excuse me. And I think they were all technicians at one point, or two of them were technicians at one point, and they were empowered by their director to become more than just technicians and get involved, and they grew professionally from that, right? So a lot of what that presentation was about was letting your technicians grow professionally, giving them the time to, hey, what do you want to do? What is it that you want to do, and how can I help you do it, right? And giving them that time and that space to break away from being the day-to-day break fix guys and being those day-to-day just operational guys, and those guys that everyone just calls for help, and taking an active role in the technology in the school district, and developing themselves professionally. If they've learned something, or they want to contribute something to the school environment, maybe they want to run a PD workshop themselves on something that they feel that the teaching staff should know, letting them do that. That was a part of it. Recognizing their accomplishments, letting them go out there, get certifications, expand their knowledge base, and get certified, and recognizing those accomplishments. That was a big part of the presentation. And getting them familiar with some of the more educational sides of integrating technology, things like flipped classroom versus traditional classroom, that TPAC planning guide, and how you recognize and integrate technology with that, the SAMR model, and those are all tools that teachers are taught on how to use and implement and integrate technology, right? And so if your technicians understand these tools, right, as well, they can have a better idea of how they can help your staff to implement that technology, integrate that technology in a more native way. And I really thought it was a great presentation. They really did a great job. And it really talks to, your technicians are you're a reflection of you as a director, as a coordinator, right? Everyone's act, everyone's move is a reflection of the director, right? So everyone being on that same page and working towards that same goal and having that same ideology is extremely important. And being those they're your front guys in this customer service world, right? So one of the examples that the presenters gave was something that they called popcorn empowerment. So what that was about, they
Making me hungry.
Yeah, it was a really good story, because it was about Disney World, and it was talking about a kid who went to Disney World with his father, and said father bought his kid popcorn. And the kid got the popcorn, and the second the kid dropped the popcorn, dropped the popcorn, spilled, made a big mess, all that stuff, and the kid started freaking out and crying. Was very upset that they dropped their popcorn. Well, the maintenance guy, who was just sitting there sweeping the floors and collecting the garbage, saw this happen. He saw it happen in front of him, and he's just the maintenance guy, right? He has nothing to do with anything, but he actually went up to this kid, said, "Hey, don't worry about it." Got them a new popcorn and said, "Here's a new popcorn. Don't worry about it. Have a nice day." And so now, what did that experience do, right? That made a returning customer, and it made a positive impact on those people. They will always remember that experience as a very positive experience, and they'll always want to come back, right? So giving your technicians that empowerment. You know what? It may not be in your field of scope, or it may not, they may not have put a help desk ticket in, but let's do what we can to keep a positive experience for our staff, for our faculty, for our teachers, and for our students, so that we're all positively working together moving forward, and people are looking at us in a positive light. It was a really great presentation. I have to kudos to those presenters, because they did a phenomenal job, and I took a lot out of that. And there's a lot that I'm actually gonna start doing myself, and pushing down to some of the texts that I know as well.
Yeah, that is a fantastic story to kind of explain how tech departments should be working. Absolutely, there are some individuals who just want to fix the computer and that's it, they're done. But sometimes you have to take that extra effort and understand what the teacher is trying to do, or what that person or individual is trying to do in the classroom, so that way maybe you can teach them, oh, hey, this is an easier way, or this is a better way, or this is the way to not break the computer, so that way every 3 days, you don't have to call me, and if it does happen, here, let me show you how to fix it. And these are like some basic troubleshooting steps, right? Reboot or unplug, replug, and then it's all fixed.
Right.
Technology breaks, it happens.
Yeah.
But I think that is a fantastic seminar, and I'll review the presentation later as well, but amazing, as well as the professional development. We always hear this magic word, right? Professional development. People need professional development. But what does that professional development look like for you? Are you only training your technicians on how to break and fix computers, infrastructure, and technology? Or are you also showing them what's happening in the classroom, so that way when you come to this scenario, this is how you react? This is some of the things that you should be doing to help the teacher, to help the classroom, and that there are people depending on you. People are looking to you for these answers, because you're not just a technician, you're a technologist. You are the expert in technology for the district, for that building, for that teacher at that point in time. You can't just show up, fix something, and then leave. You show the teacher, show the students. The students will probably pick it up faster than some teachers, because they just are so quick. But great seminar. I would love to learn more. Maybe go to another presentation they might have, if they have one.
Yeah, no, it was
fantastic.
It was. And real quick on professional development, empowering people to become what they want to become, right? Do you want to be just a technician? If you do, that's fine. You're going to become the best technician out there. Do you want to become a server person? Then fine. You're going to learn, you'll have an opportunity to learn those things. You want to become a director of technology? Do you want to get into education? You want, all that stuff, empowering your technicians to just become those, expand out of their bubble. Like I said, I can't express how impressed I was with the presentation, and what was said. It was really, really good stuff.
So another seminar that I went to kind of go into the technical things was a fantastic seminar on IPv6.
IPv6.
Right? And
Can we put like a graphic here? IPv6.
And what a fantastic seminar, and it was by Roberto.
Yeah, Roberto Rubino from Passaic County Technical Institute.
And so, what a fantastic seminar that he went over, explained some of the dangers with IPv6. Explained what IPv6 was, because apparently I knew IPv6 has been around for a while, but I didn't know it was around for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right. So apparently this issue with IPv4 starting to run out of addresses, they addressed this pretty quickly with IPv6. And he explained what IPv6 is. He explained, how to address an IPv6, some of the different things that happen in that type of network with the neighboring, and how routes are completed, and the router broadcasting, and that we should start to take a look at IPv6. In my opinion, I think IPv6 can happen in a school, but I still think we're far away from it happening, because adding an IPv6 layer to your network on top of an IPv4, in my scenario, I came into a network that is a complete disaster. The last thing I'm going to do is add more complexity to it.
Right.
But what he did was, start with like something that's almost like not insignificant, but something that has low impact. Start putting your printers on there, right? And then you just start doing like one portion at a time. You start, chiseling away a little bit at a time. But I think right now what we'll do is we will probably disable IPv6 on any of our switches or routers, so that way no traffic can get to it. A fantastic thing that he brought up during his presentation is that devices prefer IPv6.
Yes.
And
they
so
do.
if there is a broadcasting router
Yep.
on your network that's broadcasting IPv6, all those computers will start to go to that device. It could be malicious. It could be you. It could be a kid who saw a YouTube video.
Let's put the TPL light here. Security alert. Security alert.
So that was eye-opening.
Yeah.
The fact that anybody can plug in, start doing IPv6. So that is, if you walked away from anything from that, it is, if you aren't going to IPv6, make sure you're disabling it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and so I agree and disagree with implementing IPv6 in a school.
And that's okay, because we each have our own way of doing things.
Yeah, yeah. No, without a doubt. So from the security perspective and all that, I 100% you got to do something to address that, right? Whether you're going to disable IPv6 or you're going to just put a router in place so that anything that's excuse me, anything that's IPv6 is going to just hit your router. Whatever you're going to do, you got to do something to address that security concern. I think that it's going to be a little complex for smaller technology departments to take the time to do and fully roll it out. But I like the suggestion of attacking a small segment of your network, or a insignificant or least impactful portion, and starting there, playing with it. It's going to come, right? Technology is ever changing. It's ever evolving. It's moving rapidly. If we're not jumping on it anytime soon, we're going to be left in the back. So it's something that we definitely have to look at. I personally am going to be reaching out to Roberto, because I spoke to him a little bit after the presentation, and Roberto, although he's the director at PCTI, he actually teaches a security course at NJIT. So he was explaining that he was surprised that a lot of people didn't know about IPv6, and that's kind of how he got into starting to do cover in his courses at NJIT. So I think he's correct in that there is a little knowledge out there about it, and we have to start jumping on it, because I think he was telling me all of China is already IPv6. Wow. Yeah, he's like big Facebook.
So we should have enough IPv4 addresses now, then.
Yeah, right. Trying to give us back our IPv4. But what I really liked about it, IPv6 that he had mentioned to me, was that you own your address space.
Yes.
Right. You own your address space.
Forgot to mention that.
Yeah. So, an IPv4, there's no more addresses. You could try to buy an address space, but it's gonna be very difficult. Now your ISPs, or expensive. Your ISPs can give you, when you go with an ISP, they give you an address space. But the problem is now your address space is locked to that ISP. You need to change ISPs. Now you're talking about all these DNS changes and stuff like that. Or if you need to fail over, right? If you need to fail over from one ISP to another, you have to do a bunch of stuff internally to make it all happen seamless. Not that complicated with IPv6, because you own your address space, you own everything. So you're actually going to the ISP and saying, no, this is my IPs, and you're going. And if you need to fail over from ISPs, you can do it, and the internet will magically reroute things and to you. If you have multiple ISPs, the internet does your load balancing for you through the magic of the internet, right?
And I believe one of the criteria to getting your own address space is the need to have more than one connection.
Yes.
And so that's it. I'm done, right? From my opinion, you should have more than one internet connection coming into your school. You should have your primary and then your secondary, and if possible, having coming in different locations. If not, that's fine. But definitely recommend having two internet connections from two different companies.
Yes. So IPv6 gives you that ability to seamlessly fail over and do what you have to do without being affected by downtime or any of that stuff. Really, so very nice feature of IPv6. Like I said, something that we're going to start looking into, and I agree 100% with you on having multiple internet connections. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Technology is no longer a tool or just a resource. It has become a utility, right? It has become a utility for the school district. So I always say, can we have school if we have no internet? Is that possible?
Nowadays, no.
Nowadays, no, right? Our classrooms are all online. Our documents are all online. Our student information systems in the cloud. All of everything we need to do to just do our day-to-day basic operations are now in the cloud online. We need that internet connection to get our basic day-to-day stuff done, just like we need electricity and water in our buildings. Mm-hmm. That internet connection has become a utility. It has become a critical part of the school infrastructure, and without it, we can't operate. We would probably have to close school if we didn't have internet for a long period of time.
Some schools have.
And yeah, some schools have. So having two internet connections becomes critical, because what are you going to do? What are you going to do if your internet connection goes down? What is your plan, right? So the best way to mitigate that is by having a backup.
Totally agree. Fantastic presentation, by the way.
Now, you were in that presentation?
I sat in it.
You were in it? I was in it. I didn't see you in it.
I saw you.
Did you?
I saw you.
You know what? So what's crazy about that presentation? It was probably one of the most packed presentations at Texpo.
Bingo.
And I'll tell you why. It was technology based.
Bingo.
It was technology based. So, again, no shade at Texpo and, stuff like that. And the planners, I'm sure they work very hard, and it's a great event. I do not by any means recommend not going to this event. It is such a great event, but there is a but. I, as a technology person, feel there needs to be more technology seminars. There's a lot of technology seminars, but I feel like there's more educational stuff, and the educational stuff is good. I'm not saying it's bad. It's good topics, but there isn't. Texpo is technology, right? It's called Texpo. It's right in the name. I think people are starving more for the technology side of things and putting more of that tech presentations out there. I don't know.
I totally agree. The tech space in education has changed in the last 10 years. I mean, do you remember 10 years ago what we were doing? 12 years ago what we were doing? Oh, we had a lab and maybe like a T1 connection and a couple switches. Yeah. And, depending on your school, you might have like your wireless controller, or you might like daisy chain wireless routers in every classroom, and then program them one at a time and set the password on each one at a time. It has grown where you have complex networks, complex data centers, complex routing, multiple vendors, multiple ISPs. You are essentially becoming a technology company. Mm-hmm. It's no longer a one-man show, or just set up a couple computers and you're good to go.
Yeah, it's become very enterprised.
It is become enterprised in almost every facet. Mm-hmm. If one classroom doesn't have Wi-Fi with a one-to-one, there's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah, big time.
And so that's why I think more and more infrastructure and technology issues need to be brought up during this seminar. So I went to a seminar during Texpo where it was special education related, and I wanted to see what did they have, what software are they using, how is it helping their process. I don't want to go too much into detail about the seminar itself, but it was about a certain process in the special education field. not saying that isn't important, but I feel like if you are at Texpo, it should be tech related in special education or something technology related in special education. I would love to go to that presentation to see how I can help my special education department or anyone in the school in that field. But instead it had nothing to do with technology. Now that seminar might be great at like a special education conference or maybe at like school boards where you have, special ed directors and board members, superintendents that are, really looking at some of these systems. Not saying it isn't important. I'm just saying that it needs to have its place. If you're promoting a technology conference, you should have technology related seminars there and not just here's a seminar and then at the last 5 minutes and this is how we use it in the tech portion or in the last the last plug is and this is how it's related to technology. I don't think that it's the right place to do it at Texpo. You will not have the audience that you're looking for there, and then your IPv6 presentation is going to be packed.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like I said, I got an opportunity to bounce in and out of a few different sessions and stuff like that, and I can say, and just networking with people, right? Networking in the evening and going out and talking to different directors and different people that are down there, which is also another great aspect of Texpo. But just talking to them, I think the consensus was that, that conferences like this need to include more technology stuff, right? Much like why we did this podcast, right? Mm-hmm. We did this podcast because there's very little bit of technology discussions happening in the tech ed space. So, being able to, being able to have those seminars that really cater to the technology and what we're doing, because we've become more enterprise, right? The enterprise world is has been out there and they know what they've been doing. They have, like I said, they've had their, teams and, they have these large technology departments, but we're small technology guys that, you're right, 10, 12 years ago, we were just, supporting a computer lab and some computers in the classroom and maybe Wi-Fi here and there. And we've grown dramatically. The reliance has become much more critical, and so now there's a need for us to know more about that enterprise level stuff and what's happening out there and how we can bring that back to our districts. And so adding more of that tech stuff into these kind of conferences and getting into that nitty gritty is, I think, something that people are starving for. They kind of want, they need, and it'd be nice to see more of that in future conferences.
Yeah, I truly enjoyed Texpo. I think it was a fantastic conference. You get to see and talk to vendors and see some of the products they have there. The seminars that are out there, they have so many that I wish sometimes I can, like record one and go to the other and rewatch it. A lot of the times I go back to the Texpo website and I see everybody who's posted their presentation and I'll just go through it. And I know it's not the same as being in that presentation, but I might, get a link or an article or something that, might just educate me on something in technology that I should know or that is useful to know. And the last thing that I want to discuss is the continued networking, being able to share your experiences with other technology coordinators, directors, and, you might meet, someone in the technology department that has kind of the same style school as you. I met somebody, down at Texpo who has almost the identical amount of students, almost the identical amount of buildings. Some of the initiatives that they are doing are very close.
And he's in close proximity, right? I think I know who you're talking about.
It's pretty close proximity. Yeah. I'm not sure.
I might or might not have been standing in the same circle.
and now I can bounce those ideas off of that person and, say, how did you do this? Or vice versa. And just having that network of group of people that you can, always ask. Because, again, it's not a competition, right? Like, if I set up my network a specific way, I'm not going to tell you, no, that's a proprietary secret. I'm going to say, oh, this is how I have it set up, and this is, why I have certain VLANs or routes or permissions, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So I very much I very much enjoy the networking portion of it as well.
Yeah. No, very good stuff. Very good conference, and we'll have to talk more about that in future episodes. There's just so much to talk about, and we can go on and on for hours about all the different sessions and all the different topics, and we will, because I think that, Texpo covers such a broad area of stuff, but we really have to have those conversations about some of the more specifics in future episodes. But for now, thanks for tuning in, and remember that you can find this weekly podcast on all major platforms and YouTube. You can watch this on YouTube. New episodes are released every Tuesday, and if you'd like some more information about this podcast, future episodes, and this episode, you can visit our website, www.techandedmedia.com. And also, don't forget that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Tech and Ed Media. And thanks for supporting this podcast.